going to place it somewhat in the middle based on these rings here. And we're going to do that pin tool test again. Okay, so I'm gonna have a little bit of pressure so it doesn't fly away. And you can see that it's not centered, right? It's kind of waving around. So we're gonna bring our pin tool. Once it touches, we're not gonna bring it anymore. Okay, and we can see that the line starts from here and goes all the way to here. From here to here, certainly less than 50%. Okay, so I'm gonna find the midpoint, which is right here, and push that towards the center. Do the pin tool test again. And what we're looking for is more or less going around all the way, or certainly about 75% of the way. Okay, if we are 75% around, it's probably some clay that's not completely centered, smooth, that we can trim off to make it centered. As you can see right here, we probably have a little gap, clay come down a little bit. Okay, and that could have been when we're working on the clay, when we raised it, or maybe when we trimmed off some excess clay. Nonetheless, if we have about 75% circles, then we're good. Okay, so once again, you're going to do the pin tool test. You'll find the midpoint, right? And push that towards the center, just a touch, until you're going about 75% or more. You're going to take some clay wads. It doesn't matter how many you have. I've seen people put a whole coil around the base. I've seen people do with just a few balls of clay. Whatever it takes to secure this piece down is good. I hold the piece because I don't want to move my piece. And what I'm going to do is lightly pat down the clay, and instead of pushing the clay into my piece, which maybe could mess up my form, I'm going to push the clay into the wheel, okay, and that excess clay is going to contour my piece. All right, so trimming. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my larger tool, and I'm going to kind of clean everything off. Okay. I'm just prepping my surface. Making sure everything's nice and level. Now sometimes if, for instance, you wired it off at an angle, okay, it's going to be very tough to fix. But what you're going to do is you're going to simply trim, and, well, you're going to have to practice to levitate your tool, because over some areas you're going to cut and some areas you're not going to cut. But if you ride the surface, you can exacerbate the unevenness. So cut, not cut, not cut, until eventually you get to a level point where you're pretty much flat against the surface. Okay, so it does happen. I just want to make sure you understand how to remedy that, and maybe for our next trimming demo next week, I'll try to cut it unevenly or something so we can kind of go through that. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to come in with my ribbon tool. I'm going to come in with the squared edge, or the squared side, and I'm going to create a little circle here. And what I'm doing is I'm marking the area where my foot ring is going to be. Okay, I'm going to remove this part here, and there's going to be a foot ring here. Okay, now understandably this is a very thick and huge foot ring, right? But I'm about to show you a couple of different things here, so I want to make it a little wide. Right, so we're going to pretend that this is the foot ring, and as wide as it is, that's what it's going to be. I created my circle so I know where I'm going to be cutting. So I'm going to come in with that corner and start from the center and spiral out. Okay. I'm going to come back in the second pass, but instead of with my corner, I'm flat and I remove that excess clay. I'm going to make a couple passes here. And there's no certain number of passes that you're going to make, but if this base is about a pinky width thick, I want it to become about half pinky width thick. So if I'm thinking pinky width thick, maybe if that's my pinky, then the thickness of the pear trimming tool is about half, okay? So if I kind of line it up later, I want to see that there's that much of a depression, okay? If the clay is really wet, you'll feel as it gets thinner, as you press down on this with your tool, that the clay actually moves. Okay, that's like a really scary feeling. So just have light hands if you feel that. Now trimming is probably where you can go the fastest of all the different steps here. Now, it doesn't mean to go like super fast, it just means you can go fastest, okay? If I go super fast, this thing's gonna fly off. Okay, so the reason I like to have this space in between here be as tall as it is when I glaze my piece, now that, okay, so I did not